Alright, so for today, you're going to be doing the same two-step equations, but starting off with word problems instead, just equations. So you're going to have to do a little bit more, that is, come up with the equation. After that, same steps. Alright, so you've probably seen this before. You've probably heard in history class the word score be used as a unit of time, like score years ago, and it was used by Dr. Martin Luther King and, of course, President Abraham Lincoln. Okay? But how long is that unit of time? How many minutes, hours, years? What is that? Okay? So they go through a little scenario. They say, well, in 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King was talking about Abraham Lincoln's speech, which was in 1863. So from 1863 to 1963 is 100 years. And in that 100 years, he used, instead of saying 100 years, he said it was 5 score. So using that information, okay, well, from 1963, 1863 is 100 years. 5 score, we don't know how much a score is, but we know it's 100 years. So when we solve, we can find out that, yes, indeed, score is 20 years. So 20 years long. This is as difficult as these word problems will get. We'll have two things. We'll have some sort of change, like in how far is it from here to here. In this problem, it was, how far is it from 1963 to 1863. We skip on to the next one. Okay. Do you see something similar here? Instead of from this year to this year, what do we have instead? Go ahead and read it if you haven't already. B. And you'll be filling in your book. So again, instead of from 1863 and 1963, what do we have instead? From what to what?
20,000 to 10,000.
Yeah, from 20,000 to 10,000. And how did we do it on the last problem? Oh, we subtracted the two and we got 100. So how should we do it here? Same thing. Subtract 20,000 minus 10,000. And we get 10,000. So even though the first one had to do with, from this year to this year and finding what a score is, and this one's talking about airplanes, you can see that the format or the type of word problem is very similar. I want to point out over and over and over how these are all similar to each other. So as you're doing these, you don't see this as completely different problems, and I don't know how to solve this one. I got the last one, but not this one. But you're finding something that's the same with all of them. Okay. So we know in this case, instead of comparing 2 different years, we're comparing miles on one side with the feet on the other. So you can see everything that has to do with the miles is on one side. Everything that has to do with the feet is on the other. So we're usually dealing with 2 things. 2 things. All right, and you guys know the rest. We're going to be using the same steps as yesterday. Right? Just bring it down. Bring it down. And divide by what? Yeah, 1.8939 divided by 1.8939. And throw that into your calculator and see what you get. Try it again. There's something you punch it in wrong. Okay, what do you got?
5,000.
What does the direction say here? And so what should we put in here? 8. Exactly. Perfect. Now, one last thing we have to think about. 5,280 what? Feet. Please write in feet. What does this answer mean? What does this mean? If you had to write a sentence describing, okay, what does this tell us? What does it mean? What would you say? So talk a little about the left side, the M, and talk a little bit about the right side. How are they related? Yeah, right?
It's in a sentence
Like a sentence or a phrase, yeah?
that there's 5,280 feet.
Exactly. Perfect. So sometimes we get to the end of these problems like, oh, the answer is 5,280 feet. Well, what does that actually mean? They're saying that 1 mile is this many feet. It's important to understand. Very good. Okay, so I like this book so far because they start off with an example already worked out completely, and then we go into one where we kind of have to fill it in, but it's very similar to what we did at the one that's already completed. And then they move you into another one, and you try it on a few on your own with no help at all. But note that it's going to be very similar. On here it was like miles on the left, feet on the right. We go to the next one, we're talking about, okay, instead of miles and feet, we're talking about an ostrich, an animal that's very tall, and another animal called kiwi, which is small, not the fruit, but small animal. Okay? But it's very similar setup. Okay. So you're going to put everything that has to do with the ostrich on the left, everything that has to do with the kiwi on the right. How do you know what's the separator? What are some magic words that you see that you know, okay, this goes on the left, this goes on the right? Okay. Well, the equal sign is usually something like is. When you see is, you know that, okay, here's all the ostrich stuff, that's on the left. Everything after that, that's going to be talking about the kiwi, that's on the right. Alright. Go ahead and see if you can write an equation and talk about it with somebody next to you. See if you guys can agree on what an equation should be. So go ahead and read this one on your own and write it in your book for number 5. Alright, so I was walking around, I saw that you guys had like the 108 on the left, that's talking about the ostrich. Right hand side though, be very careful. Sometimes the order of which you see it in a sentence isn't the order you'd write it mathematically. For instance, if I want you to find like 4 times $100 plus 20 more, you would do 4 times 20, okay, or 4 times 100 plus another 20. So you really want to do, I'm going to use K for kiwi, do the multiplication first, the 4K, and then add the 20. It does make a difference in some situations. Because this is how you'd normally figure something out. If I just ask you, find $20 more than 4 times 100. You do 4 times 100 and then add $20. That's the order you do it. So sometimes how we speak and the order we actually do things does change. Now, what are the units of this answer? What are we trying to find? Inches of what? Of a cube. So it should be more or less than 108. Yeah, much less, right? So these are all things you know before you even start. I know I'm looking for a height that's smaller than the ostrich, and I know the units are inches. So when you get there and you go through the steps, that should be the case. Ah, yes, 22, make sure you put the units, and that's K. And remember, K is just an abbreviation, which means the kiwi's height. So if you had to write a sentence, you say, the height of the kiwi is 22 inches. Like, sum it all up. Yeah, there's in 1 mile, there's 5,280 feet. What does your answer mean? Very important to be able to describe that. You know that K stands for the height of a kiwi. All right. Let's get another going. This time we got an emu, and we were debating how to say this. Cockapoo. Which I thought was a breed of a dog, a Cocker Spaniel and a Poodle. Well, I found that, so that's also one. So it's a bird and a dog. Now, this time, go ahead and try to do it again, just like it with the last one. Check with someone next to you and see what you get. So, very important. Compare. All right. Don't have to start from scratch. I know some of you just are reading it and you're like, well, I don't know where to begin. But if you look closely, you'll see that it's the same question, just asked in a different way. So it says an ostrich is 108 inches tall. This one says emu is 60 inches tall. Okay, so before we did 108 equals, so here we must do 60 equals. Alright, and then it says is, right? 70 inches less than 5 times the height. This one was 20 inches more or taller than 4 times the height, so we did 4K plus 20. Okay, this one is 5 times, so we must do 5K, and instead of plus, since it's less than, we'll do 70, minus 70. So it's similar, not the same, but similar. You just have to look at the structures being all the same. Okay. I don't want you starting every homework problem tonight thinking it's completely different from what you just did, which was completely different from the examples you're seeing right now. It's all very similar, but you have to look at all the problems in a way that and point out, like, okay, here we're looking at the years, here we're looking at feet and altitude. We still subtracted the things. Over here we said the ostrich is 108. On this problem we're saying the emu is 60. But where things go in the actual equation are the same. Look for similarities with all this. Try not to say, well, this is completely different. You know, it is not. Okay? We're not giving you stuff that's completely out there on the first week. You just have to see the patterns. This is more about seeing patterns. Let's see, what does that equal? 60 plus 70?
130.
130. So K equals 56 what? 26?
Yeah.
26 inches. There you go. See you guys tomorrow.